Hi, I'm Dan from Eagle Wings Ironcraft. Thanks for having interest in our products. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope you really enjoy it and that it gives you lots of great ideas for future projects on your garden railroad. We've added quite a few things to our line. We have new buildings, new limited edition buildings, of course, new structures, and we've upgraded some of our bridges with new truss work. We've done quite a few projects for different people around the country, including tall buildings from New York to curved, different kind of curved bridges and all sorts of different things that I think that you'll really enjoy and really like to see. We really hope it gives you some good ideas, and that if you have any ideas of your own that you think would be special on your garden railroad, please give us a call. That would be great. We'd love to hear from you and help you create something special for your railroad. Just give us a call at 602-276-8101, or hey, you can look up our website, eaglewingsironcraft.com, and see what we can do for you. As you can see by the pictures and stuff, this is quite the bridge here. We went out there and talked to the customer, and he wanted something to sort of flow over his swimming pool and his jacuzzi, and we were thinking of different ways to do it, and we finally ended up with this Hellgate Bridge. It was actually ends up to be 35 feet long, 4-track wide. It was quite the portable, quite the interesting project, and we were really grateful to be able to work with this because we actually enjoyed doing this. It was really fun creating this. We were trying to figure out how in the world are we going to get this bridge out there. We actually had to make this in 2 pieces. We actually weighed it and everything too. It was around 800 pounds for each half. We put this along with the rest of the portable on this 24-foot trailer, and we had 4 of us. We had to take this, of course, around his house and up some steps, and then we got it up to the pool. We put it on some stands and bolted it together, and then we had to shift it over his pool. I wish you could have been there to see that. It was quite the adventure, but then it seems like about every job we do is quite the adventure. After this, now he is it's a big dog bone, what it is, and we actually have a switch yard that comes off where he can store his trains, and then we actually just created another passenger structure that the trains go under, which I think is pretty neat, and hopefully you guys will enjoy. In the near future, he's actually hired a guy to come in, and he's going to create a mountain on one of the big loops, and on the other side it's going to create a little town. He's already got we already put the shelves up there, and the guy that is doing it for him has already painted the streets and everything, so he's moving right along and really creating something really neat here. So hopefully this will give you some ideas, and thanks for enjoying it with us.
Hi, I'm Jim Theobald from Sun Lakes, Arizona. This is the Theobald Railroad. I've got about 500 feet of track here, and the steel structure you see behind me, Dan Hogue built for me about 7 years ago, and I've been adding to it ever since. Houses, train cars, engines, diesels, everything. And I really enjoy this setup that I have. I didn't want it on the ground because kneeling down on the stones kind of hurts your kneecaps. This is about 2 feet off the ground. It's perfect. And Dan did a great job, and we set it all up in one day. Screwed and bolted all these sections together. And I just love running trains here. And we make a lot of noise, as you can hear behind me. One of the steam engines here is adding coal to the tender, out of the tender to the firebox. But I've got about probably over 75 cars, and diesels and engines probably about 20. And I put them out 2 or 3 at a time and run them till they get tired, and I go put on something else. The 3 of us put it together, and took all day. He was here like 8 o'clock in the morning, finished about 5 in the afternoon. And everything fit. That was the surprising thing. Everything fit. He came out and measured it a couple of weeks prior. And all the nuts and bolts, everything just fits perfectly. I couldn't have done a better job myself. But he's quite a guy. Gary here, my friend, and I, we decided where we wanted to run the track. And then he measured everything, and we made tunnels, a couple of tunnels, and I made the portals. And he had the steel structure there for the bushes, keep the bushes off the tracks. And he did a good job with that too. And also on the other end, I have a storage bin that'll hold 21 cars. And I use that all the time too.
Our portables are just that, portable. Take your layout with you, set it up seasonally and for special occasions, or leave it up year-round. No sense getting on your knees if you don't have to. When you purchase your custom-built solid steel portable from Eagle Wings, you can be assured of the finest quality materials, built of solid steel and made to last. Portables have adjustable height stands or stakes with several powder coating colors to choose from. Maybe you only like to run your trains seasonally at Christmas or when the grandkids come to visit. With a portable layout, set it up and take it down quickly. You can easily incorporate bridges, shelves, passing tracks, switch yards, buildings, and much more. Make different configurations or even add more sections to an existing portable. So much like this hobby, your layout can always grow to meet your needs. Eagle Wings portables are built sturdy and once it's together, very stable for many hours of enjoyment. Perfect for clubs and organizations. Portable, yet durable. Let Eagle Wings Ironcraft create your portable layout today.
So here at McCormick, they had contacted me because I had known the people in the O-Scale Club and stuff, and they were building a brand new building out there, and they really wanted to put a couple overheads in there. So I started talking to them. It really turned out to be a really neat overhead. It's a pretty good sized G-scale train layout as you walk into this building. And then we also did an O-gauge, and the O-gauge club there they really know how to wire things up and make things work right. I mean, they're really fun to work with. Then they said, hey, we need a lift bridge so we can go through into our layout. And this is sort of what we want, and we ended up, the towers were actually, I think, about 7'4" tall, which is, I thought was pretty wild, but boy, I think it looks really neat. And we started working with it, and really all you really need, as you can see on the video, that mainly you just need a couple fingers to lift this thing up and down the way it's weighted and everything. And they were just overjoyed. They tell everybody that comes in there. So anyways, I want to thank them for letting me do this for them.
New at Eagle Wings is a complete line of O-gauge bridges and trestles. Here at Eagle Wings, we're able to complete any of the projects you have in mind for your O-gauge layout. Any of our G-gauge bridges can be scaled down to fit your O-gauge layout without any trouble. This is a great way to put a new solid structure into your layout that will last for years to come. Call Dan at Eagle Wings and talk to him about building something special for your O-gauge layout. Solid steel bridges and trestles are now possible for your O-gauge layout, brought to you by Eagle Wings Ironcraft. Just give Dan a call.
Hello, my name is Dennis Sarine. We're here at the Palo Verde and Southwest Railroad in Mesa, Arizona. We started this railroad back in the early part of 2004, where we met up to Dan Hogue. He introduced us to some of his bridges that he made, and we designed a few of his bridges into our layout. So I think it's about 7 bridges we have here. They did a really good job. Trains run very well and look spectacular going over some of the bridges he did for us. Very well crafted. We have in this room a 13-track yard. We originally did it on wood, but we went to where the garage door stopped. Outside, we didn't want to do wood, so we approached Dan Hogue and said, Dan, we want to extend the yard out into the carport area. So we sat down and designed out a 3-track extension of the yard that goes another 45 feet or so and opens up the yard so it's much longer and much more functional for us. Again, turned out great. It's in sections. We take it apart and store it, or we can leave it out all year long and it has no problems because it's all powder coated and it's done very nice. We have a couple of areas in the layout that were situations that just kind of arose after we designed the layout, where pumps are, where a lot of pipes are. And we wanted to put something over those to cover them, but still have an architectural feeling to what's going on. So we approached Dan Hogue, sat down, and we designed these 2 big warehouse buildings to go over the pumps and to go over the pipes. And where you can pull trains up into them and make it like a loading dock and still have office space, industrial space above. And again, those turned out spectacular. The one's fairly tall, almost 3.5 feet tall, and it's about 5.5 feet wide. It takes like 4 people to lift the dang thing up, but it's functional. We have a removable top so we can start the pumps and put it back down, and it's worked out really well for us. Again, very nicely designed, very functional, and a very good price on it too.
Hello, good morning, and how do you do are just a few of the pleasant greetings you accept as you walk the remarkably clean sidewalks. Men clad in dark suits with lean ties and polished shoes are strolling to the office. There seems to be no hurry for them, especially when pretty girls give them a reason to dawdle. The men can't give up a chance to catch a smile and tip their hats. The girls with hats and long formal gloves take their time to window shop at the many five and dime stores. Mr. Thompson stands outside his grocery store, broom in hand, waiting for Mrs. Davis to pick the freshest of apples. He has probably the sweetest apples this side of Washington. Main Street is always bustling this time of morning. The neon lights that kept the streets aglow all night are now barely noticeable. Taking their place is the sunlight bouncing off the streetcars that are bustling up and down the center of Lexington Avenue. The buildings are graffiti-free and freshly painted. This is Main Street, Anytown, USA. The year? Pre-1964. When you're ready to bring the good old days back to your layout, call Dan at Eagle Wings Ironcraft and select your hometown building by building.
Here at the Grand Central Railroad is a great group of guys. They started out with just a small little loop and really developed this, and they had me come out there, and I know some of the guys, and then actually I got to really know a lot more of them. And their club is really growing, and they just really have a great enthusiasm out here. We've created started out with I think some deck girder bridges and stuff, and then did a few more bridges, and then they started seeing my structures and buildings that we started doing, and so each year they usually show up with a group of guys, and we figure out what they would like to do this year, and each year they come up with some good stuff, and I hope you really enjoy these these buildings. They've really painted them up and really made them look sharp, and this should really give you some ideas of what you can do with these buildings. Some of these are really very custom and everything. I think the one that has like a curved platform and it sort of steps up around where the tracks are, to me that is the way they decorated that up and everything really looks good. So I want to thank them for letting me be a part of their club and let me design some things along with, of course, their ideas and stuff, and create something really neat for lots of people to enjoy in the future.
Grandpa sure liked to take me down to the train station. You could see it from nearly any vantage point in our little town. It was 2 stories tall, practically a skyscraper to me as a kid. There was always a lot of activity around the double doors where they brought the baggage in and out. Huge steamer trunks, as well as well-worn leather suitcases emblazoned with luggage stickers from cities, states, and countries where the travelers had been to before. The luggage kept the train porters constantly busy. On the second floor of the station, there was a little restaurant, and every so often Grandpa would take us kids up there if we were well behaved, which wasn't often. He'd buy us a Coke, and we'd watch the trains come and go. During the times that there were no trains coming in or going out, he'd tell us stories about when he was a kid, watching the old steam engines that huffed and puffed their way into town, pulling ornate passenger coaches and endless lines of freight and boxcars. He said that during World War I, he enlisted in the Army and rode the train out of that very station on his way to serve his country. And his eyes welled up with tears as he told us how happy he was to make it back from the war, arriving at the familiar station back home. He said it took him that long to hit him, that he was actually back home safe. After returning home from the war, Grandpa worked for the railroad for a while and met people from all over the world at that very station. I'm looking at the station now. I think of Grandpa and all the memories he shared about this special building. When you're ready to make your own memories, your own train station is patiently waiting to come home to your layout at eaglewingsironcraft.com.
Hi, my name is Glenn Saber. Welcome to the Casa Verde Railroad. This is a fairly new outdoor railroad. It is 2 years old this April. And what is very unique about it is that this is a second-hand Eagle Wings railroad. I had the opportunity to purchase a fairly large outdoor railroad and reconfigure it for my yard. Originally it was a large double-folded dog bone, and now it is 4 main lines, and I was able to utilize almost 95% of the original large Eagle Wings railroad in a completely new configuration. And I had to go with something like this because my particular house here, we get flood irrigation, which precludes putting a in-ground railroad in, and also I have a very intense gopher problem here, which would unearth anything I really did. So getting the Eagle Wings up and out of the ground was about all I could really do here. And the other nice thing I really enjoy about the Eagle Wings is that as far as garden railroads are concerned, it's yours and you own it. It's actually a product that you can take with you to a different residence, a different house, and you can reconfigure it to that yard. So it's all very modular and can do many nice things in many different backyards, all from the same layout. So we've expanded it. Also, we've added the Eagle Wings Point of Rocks station that I painted not in the typical colors, just in a green and white. And it's the Casa Verde Railroad Station that is mimicking more of northern Arizona with pine trees and the like. We'll be doing a little bit more with the railroad over the years, maybe doing some murals and adding maybe some warehousing or some other on my sidings, but that's about it. I just like operating more than I really do landscaping, so I'm going to be operating all days and nights. Thank you for visiting the Casa Verde.
Mohawk Industries had bought the old Crate and Barrel company after it had been shut down for many years. They had made wagons and wagon wheels, wood pallets, farming supplies, and all sorts of interesting things. Back then, kids used to snoop through the building at night after the workers had gone home. In those days, they didn't worry too much about locking the doors at night. The old business had employed many locals until about 1940. At the end of World War II, war vets were returning home, and the small towns across America began to thrive again. When Mohawk Industries took over the site of the old Crate and Barrel operations, they remodeled the old building, rewired, replumbed, and even added a reception area. Their tool and die operations employed many of those returning vets. For the little town, the investment wasn't just in the building, it was in the community. As Mohawk Industries proved, an old building can be just an empty space, or it can be changed to suit the evolving needs of the town. Doesn't your layout need a unique industrial building? A building that can change right along with your evolving layout plans? This building can be yours. Call Dan at Eagle Wings Ironcraft today. It was early 1951. The country's economy is enjoying the post-war boon. But none of that mattered to you as you strolled past McNichol Cement Company, which stood prominently at the edge of Lexington Avenue, 3 blocks from Maine. Nope, not a care in the world crossed your mind. Seeing the impressive cement silos always caused a chuckle. Tim Johnson once bragged that he could throw a rock onto the top of one of those towering silos. No way, you thought. Too tall. But you never said anything. Tim was your best buddy, a dreamer and a storyteller. I suppose that's what you liked about him. Many a summer day you and he would watch as the trains would unload their cargo ready to be hauled off to neighboring towns. Trucks would pull out loaded almost every day, except Sundays. Old Man Nichols would never have anyone work on Sundays. When you're ready to bring McNichol Cement Company to be a prominent industry on your layout, call Dan Hogue at Eagle Wings Ironcraft. Except on Sundays. I guess some things never change. When you turned 16, it was like a rite of passage. You took your brand new car, well, if you can call the old hand-me-down new. Hey, it was new to you, and having wheels was the freedom you yearned for. Well, the first place you took off for was Ray's gas station, Big 3, just on the edge of town. Old Ray was friendly enough to ask how everything was going as he checked your oil for you. He always got out and washed the windows. Sure, you had a fender full of Bondo, but the cleanest windows and tires in town. You know, Ray always had something good to say, making you feel like you and your car was the most important customer of the day. His small garage always seemed messy and disorganized, yet he could tell you what was wrong with your car just by the sound of the engine. The old Coke machine out front seemed like a magnet for guys to hang out and show off their hot rods. They would talk and brag about their cars, and you swore you'd have the fastest rod in town one day. And old Ray would look at you with a smile in his eyes as if to say he believed that you would. He meant it too. When it's your time to return to the Big 3 gas station and remember a simpler life, when dreams were dreamt and your future was yet unknown, click over to eagleWingsIroncraft.com. Call Dan. He remembers Big 3, and we'll make one for your layout today.
Hi, welcome to the K&M Short Line Railroad. We're in Glendale, Arizona, and my name is Tony Knapp, and with me is my wife Nancy and our good friend Mac McCambridge. Our railroad began basically in 2007 when Nancy and I were visiting Mac in Port Angeles, and we went to this business that had a layout running all around the perimeter walls, and really thought that that was really neat. And so we came back to Arizona after the trip, and with a little encouragement from Nancy, we got a hold of Dan with Eagle Wings, and he came out and he basically looked at it. We designed the railroad after what we saw in Port Angeles, so basically the layout is the same. And after that, he did what he had to do, and then he came out and installed it. And then when we started, it was just the steel structure and the train running on it. And as you will see in this recording, we've added a lot of detail to it, and that's been the fun. Mac works from Port Angeles, and he and I met and we designed the colors that were going to be on the buildings, and he's done some scratch building which he can talk about, and we've had a great time. The only other thing I will say very quickly is that the railroads that are represented here are basically my favorites. I'm interested in the history and the operation of the Great Northern Railroad, so the things that are the rolling stock and the locomotives are either that or the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad. So most of what you see are made up of those two.
I'm Nancy, and I knew Tony had an interest in trains when I married him because our first purchase was a red caboose from Woolworth's 5 and Dime. But the railroad had been something that our son had started, gave Tony a German LGB railroad and for a Christmas present, and we started accumulating cars, accumulating track, and we weren't doing anything with it. And we visited Mac, and we came back, and Tony had recently retired, and I said, let's just put this thing up in the living room. And so my part has been the decorating, and it's a very whimsical railroad. We're kind of fun-loving people, so this is the land of Oz where anything goes. So I got to do the decorating, so there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek things, I guess you would say. And we all just love it. But the interesting thing is we'll have visitors come to the house and they'll say, do you like this thing? And I asked him, I said, could I live here if I didn't? But I love the train, and my role is consultant to the wizard, and I'm also the graphic designer.
Well, my basic background was artwork, and so and we decided we'd go into scenery materials, basically foam core and balsa wood and so forth, and we started building the other buildings from scratch, and that's the two that have evolved, then the hangar and the airport.
So we got back from Port Angeles and we looked around here, and I went to Roy's Train World out in Mesa, and I just asked them out there while I was there, is there anybody in the area that does overhead railroads inside a house? And they pulled out a flyer of Dan Hoag's and said, this guy, you can call him. So we got back to the house and called him, and he said, yeah. He said, he set up an appointment, I think it was the following week, and came out, and he brought all his catalogs and, you know, the decor and everything, so we could look at the buildings, we could look at the bridge, we could look at the color scheme, everything. And he just asked, you know, do you have any ideas? And so I told him what our idea was. He said, great. And he talked to us all the time he was doing it, but he was taking measurements and, you know, doing all of that. We had a lot of fun installing. He involved us in it. So I learned a lot about, you know, how you lay down track on an overhead, what goes into that, and so forth. So we had a really good time. We've known him now for quite a while, and he's taught us a lot about, you know, garden railroading and so forth, because we work a lot with him in his railroad. But he's been very helpful with the overhead stuff as well. So we had a lot of fun.
It took a short time to put it in and install it, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was in a day. Yeah, he had it up in a day. We were giving him a bad time because he had a real fancy stud finder, and he missed one. So there was one hole that he drilled that didn't make it, but that we just were giving him a bad time. But he's a real easygoing guy, a lot of fun to work with and so forth. So anyway, that's the story.
I just wanted to say one thing about Dan. He's totally customer oriented, and there couldn't be anybody else that he has kindness, caring. He has a sensitivity about the customers where he knows what you want just by listening to you, even if you don't really say it. He's just a really fun, kind, nice person to work with.
My wife PJ and I had Jim and Barbara over last night. We started talking as we shared some dessert after dinner, running the trains as we chatted and laughed. It's always relaxing to run the trains, just a low, subdued clickety-clack sound as the train snakes its way through the house. Jim laughed and asked if they could see the train crash. I said, sure, as long as you have your credit card with you. We all had a good laugh about that, and the train is always a good conversation piece whenever we have people over. The fact that it's up and out of the way makes it a very practical use of the space, as well as a great way to get our trains out of the boxes we used to store them in. PJ even had to admit she wasn't doing anything with the ceiling anyway. I'm not much of an outdoor guy, and the older I get, the less I want to get down on my knees and mess around with trains. But I had invested quite a bit in my train collection and didn't have room for an entire layout. PJ always used to give me grief about how sad it was to see those trains just sitting in boxes instead of running. This overhead was the perfect solution. We have some little platforms that we put buildings, false fronts, and small scenes on, and these platforms hook right onto the modular overhead system. They're easy to switch around so you can move the scenes as you please, update them, and keep things interesting. As a matter of fact, PJ's favorite time of the year is the holiday season, when she decorates the overhead system with strings of lights and garland. For the other seasons and holidays, she can just switch decorations out or not decorate at all. This year, she says we're having a 4th of July celebration here, so I guess that means we got to get some sort of patriotic theme going. Maybe some sparklers or fireworks coming up. Okay, but who would have thought you can do so much with this hobby? If you're considering an overhead train system for your home, office, garage, anywhere in your house, your workshop, it's easy. Just measure the room, call up Eagle Wings, and talk to Dan. Down at the corner drugstore, you could buy all sorts of things. We called it the 5 and Dime. Back when you could buy something for only 5 or 10 cents. They sold ice cream and had a soda fountain too. And that's where I would head after mowing yards on a hot summer day. A root beer float or a caramel sundae, that was a real treat. My mom would also send me down there to pick up medicine for my very sick brother Rob, who always seemed like there was something wrong with him. Mom said he was special and that's why he needed medicine. A lot. The pharmacist Ben always fixed up just the right concoction that would help treat Rob's disease du jour.
That should take care of him.
I remember going in there to hunt for a card on Mother's Day. They always had just the right card, and Mom was so pleased to think that I picked it out especially for her. That building was so neat, with the big vertical sign out front that could be seen from about any angle. And being situated on the main intersection in town, it was truly one of the focal points on Main Street. How about a 5 and dime for your Main Street? When you're ready, it's waiting for you and made of solid steel at eaglewingsironcraft.com.
Hi, Tim here with Movie Mix Productions. This 4th of July, we took our backyard railroad to the Napa County Fair and set up 2 loops of approximately 30 feet by 50 feet. We also had a small loop for running egg liners. Our system is track powered, which was a good thing because we were running trains for 10 to 12 hours a day for 6 days straight. This year we added new 15 and 16 foot curves, which we set up in an S curve on the upper loop. This was a great way to change the layout from just a rectangle. The Eagle Wings portable system worked without any problems. This is the 4th year we have been traveling and displaying the G-scale layout, and I could not be happier with how it has all come together. Starting with a loop that was about 15 feet by 30 feet, and now being able to have 2 loops that are 30 feet by 70 feet has really made for a large display that can run trains of 20 feet or more. The display took about 10 hours to set up and around 6 hours to tear it all down. We've tried to run a variety of trains each day. Thomas was a big hit with the kids, while most of the adults loved seeing the Napa Valley train, complete with winos. And, as always, the train with the hot rods and monster trucks was a big hit and brought back memories of the muscle car era. We have 5 different shelves on the layout that display our circus, car lot, lumber yard, a park scene, and the fire station with watchtower. The portable system was a big hit at the fair and enjoyed by guests of all ages. Being able to bring garden railroading to a whole new crowd of over 10,000 people was really a lot of fun and something we could not have done without the help from Dan at Eagle Wings Ironcraft. If you're looking for a portable layout, just give Dan a call. You can start small and build as you go, just like I did.
We do all sorts of different custom bridges and stuff besides buildings and everything, but one of the bridges we're doing right now is for a guy in Ohio, Chillicothe, Ohio, and is a replica of a bridge back there that was the longest single-spanned bridge up to about 1946, and we're making it 40 feet long, double track. And I think it's really neat. I've had a great time building it. We've done all sorts of neat truss work on it. We're learning little by little what we can do on some of these bridges. So now we're starting to do some lattice truss work and quite a few other things. You have to keep checking our website and seeing what is new with Eagle Wings.
Eagle Wings Ironcraft offers the highest quality metal art. Made of choice steel and created by our computerized state-of-the-art plasma cutting table. Exquisite and beautiful to look at. Metal art can bring personality and charisma to your layout. One of the crowning jewels you can bring to your layout is the one of personalization. Our line of metal art includes trains, engines, steam or diesel, and various train scenes. Your layout is one of a kind and unique to you. Do you have a name for your layout? Now make it complete with a personalized piece of metal art. Ask Dan to create your own piece of metal art. If you can dream it, we can make it. From rust finish to top-of-the-line powder coating, you can add a piece of personality to your layout.
With 8 separate lines spread out over 900 feet of track, the Too Much Fun Railroad is truly a sight to see. Over 300 feet of the Too Much Fun Railroad is metal fabrication consisting of 6 bridges, 200 feet of elevated metal support structures, and 5 different elevations. The Too Much Fun Railroad would not exist if not for the amazing workmanship of Dan Hoag's Eagle Wings Ironcraft. An exclusive Eagle Wings engineering marvel is a 5-tiered, double-track metal helix which allows the trains to gain and or descend over 5 feet in elevation. As trains huff and puff through a variety of picturesque scenery, passing medieval castles, a haunted house, and an old western town, the amazing helix is just one of the special features incorporating Dan's products. A magnificent focal point brings together 5 of Dan's bridges, traversing across a 4-tiered cascading waterfall which splashes into a large koi and turtle pond. Anticipating years of durability and too much fun, Vic and Sue, the owners of Too Much Fun Railroad, chose Eagle Wings Ironcraft because of their craftsmanship, quality, and flexibility to work on unique designs for their customers.
Thank you for taking the time to watch our DVD and see some of the new things that we're doing nowadays. If you have any questions about anything or would like to find out about NVIDIA products or to create something special for you, please give us a call at 602-276-8101. And also check our website out, www.eaglewingsironcraft.com. And also we have a blog, and also you can get us on Facebook page. So you've got lots of ways to contact us, and if you happen to be in town, let us know so we can bring you over and see our Garden Railroad and come down the shop and see what we're creating for some customer around the country.